I want to discuss the issue of Moses. When he was age 40, he saw this Israelite being abused physically by an overseer. Man, he stood up for the victim against the abuser, and it escalated. The abuser ended up dead. In the defense of the victim, Moses had to kill the guy because the guy obviously didn't want to let go. Now, did Moses intend to kill someone? No, he stood up for someone that was abused, someone that was victimized. But that's how it goes in the world. Often, abusers don't want to let go when things escalate. Moses hit the guy in the sand. He didn't have to. As a prince of Egypt, you could just make plain, this guy was violating Egyptian law. Me, as a prince of Egypt, came, told him to stop. He didn't want to stop, so I had to deal with him. He could have done that. But anyway, he hit the body. The next day, there was an Israelite abusing an Israelite, and when he stopped that guy, the guy that was abusing accused him, saying, "Who do you think you are, being a judge over us? You want to kill him like you killed that Egyptian?" So hold on a minute. So people knew Moses stood up for an Israelite, and they spoke about it. But here's the thing. A lot of folks did not want to let go of their false entitlements. And were those false entitlements that enabled them to abuse their fellow human beings. When Moses stopped that Israelites from abusing the other, he did the right thing. The one that was stopped should have repented. Instead, he went against Moses, saying, "Who do you think you are? I have a right." His attitude was, "I have a right to will whatever I will. This is how I decide to deal with it. This is my life. I determine. I." Moses stopped him. And he realized that if he went too far, he could end up just like the Egyptian. But obviously, he was even provoking Moses into killing him. He was so out of control. But let me tell you one thing, you have folks like that. Even when you stop them and put them in their place, it's then that they go into rage, then that they want more danger to act out. Now look, Moses ended up having to flee from Egypt because Pharaoh wanted to kill him. Hold on a minute. You have a prince of Egypt who grew up in Pharaoh's household. He stops domestic violence in Egypt. Yet Pharaoh goes after Moses. Here was going on. That violence was the structure upon which Egypt was based. So Moses, by doing the right thing, he exposed the foundations of Egypt. And they didn't want those foundations to be exposed. So that's why Moses was turned into the bad guy and he had to flee. Now, let's look at Christ, the Lord himself. The same Lord that called Moses to the burning bush. When Christ, when he walked the earth, he confronted a situation where two scapegoats who were possessed by thousands of demons, he freed those two scapegoats. And the side effect was that a herd of swine was drowned. The side effect with Moses was someone died, a real human being died. With Christ, Christ dealt with the situation far better. No human being died over there. Pigs died instead. But the human lives were preserved. But what happened here? The same as happened to Moses happened to Christ. They wanted him out. They became the enemies of Christ instantly when they witnessed his power. They even began to beg him to leave the region. Christ remained in the region at the opposite side of the lake. They wanted him out of the region. So they didn't even want Christ to help anyone else. So they didn't care about the needs of other people, that other people needed Christ's ministry. They just wanted Christ out because Christ impact went against their will. Look what happened to Moses and what happened to Christ. Do you see similarities here? Of course there's a difference. Moses back then was a pagan, so he dealt with things his way. Well, it didn't work out that well. Christ, who's the Lord himself, he dealt with something very effectively. No human life was harmed, but the human beings who were in the negative there, they want to take it out on Christ. But because they witnessed his power, they were too frightened to lay hands on him. So they began to generate this psychic violence against him. They want him to leave the region. Christ did not give in to their will. He departed from them. He shook the dust off his feet. he didn't let them win. They didn't win. Christ remained in the region, and he helped them and helped other people and affected lives of other people. He did not give in to that will of theirs. Christ left the town. He didn't leave the region. They wanted him out of the region. He remained in the region of completing a ministry while he didn't even bother with them in their town. They were left with their curse. So Christ never let them win when he walked away. When he walked away, he walked in victory, while they remained in the negative. Here's the thing. There were many other people that needed Christ's help. Think about Jairus, whose daughter died and Christ rose from the dead. Think about that woman with an issue of blood that received instant healing. There were many people needing Christ's ministry who were in deep need, in deep trouble. But those people in Gadara only talk about their will. And because they were frustrated, they want to act out their will. And their will was Christ needs to go so that we can abuse and victimize whatever we want. Because it's our will. It's our sovereignty, our country. They want to take back the region. You see similarities to certain movements today? Look, as what happened to Moses, as what happened to Christ, will also happen to you. Now you can overrule it and bypass it. Christ did. Moses did, and he was a pagan still then. Just realize it will happen. Expect it. And here's the thing. As a believer walking in the fullness of Christ, you don't have to address things physically. At a distance, energetically, you can address things through prayer, through the priest, and through declarations. And I'm teaching you how to do that. And I expect you to do it. If you're physically present somewhere, you're vulnerable. And those folks, negative-minded folks, have access to you. But if you do it at a distance physically, you can still have the same impact, or even a far better impact, but they can't grasp you. They can't choke you. They can't come with knives at you, nor with guns. But even if they know it's you, they can't come near you. And then they will witness your power, because without you being physically present there, you have a physical impact on the situation. That's the power I want you to walk in. So walk in it.